Okay, this is another one of our Bartram sites. This site was visited by John and William Bartram. First of all, by John and William Bartram on December 27th or 26th. Let's see, 26th. Would have been December 26th of 1765 as they were proceeding up the St. Johns River. They had spent the night at Rollstown the night before, and they were headed to Spalding's Lower Store, which is really the kind of the central location for the Bartrams, and is just up the river about 5 or 6 more miles. They came by here and they stopped here on Murphy's Island and got out on the island and explored around a little bit and cataloged some of the vegetation and talked a little bit about the soils and just sort of explored it for suitability for settlement. Then they got back in their boat and headed on up to Spalding's Lower Store. William Bartram came back by Murphy's Island and stopped again on his trip in 1774. Apparently he had shipped some of his supplies for his trip on the St. Johns down from up north, and those supplies had made it here to Murphy's Island and were actually stored here on the island. And as he was headed up to Spalding's Lower Store, where he was going to meet up with his supplies and some of his cohorts, people he knew there at Spalding's Lower Store. So he went by the island. There were some men on the island that waved him down, and so he rode over to the island and found out that his supplies were actually stored here and that they'd be moved later on down to the store and would be there for him a little bit later. So then he continued to sail on down towards Spalding's Lower Store. So today it's actually an established campsite that is that's owned and operated by the St. Johns River Water Management District, so it's still a very nice paddling destination.
And so this is the highest bluff on all of Murphy Island. Francis Harper says this is the place that his stuff was hidden. And so he was sailing by here, and he was getting confused because of all the creeks and all this, that, and the other. Right, and he almost sailed by, and then somebody from shore actually saw him, recognized him as an Englishman, hailed him, and there he found his stuff. Oh. And so this was a stop. He camped at Forester Point, then he camped at Rollstown, and then this was his stop on the way to the Lower Store. Well, all of his goods that he had shipped here for his Fothergill deal.
Yeah, his drawing.
Well, no, they hadn't drawn them yet. Yeah. So his case with all of his equipment, if you will, was here. Okay. Yeah, they had shipped it in here by boat. And so, and then when they actually burned the Lower Store 3 times, I'm told. And so one of those times, instead of having that risk, they moved a large part of their stuff here, and his goods were imported.